Good evening. I call this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors to order on Thursday, October 12th at 6:32 p.m. I would like to remind our community that the purpose of our board meetings is to conduct the business of the district first and for everyone to learn about the district in a safe and productive manner. Our first item on the agenda is community comments. Community comments is an opportunity for our community to share their ideas and opinions with the board. Input is welcomed and valued. It is our duty to keep it safe and respectful for everyone, students, staff, and our community. This is not a time for discussion or debate. If you have materials for the board, please give them to the board secretary, who will distribute them to the board members after the meeting. Letters to the board are always welcome, and each of us reads the input. Requests for information should be requested as outlined in policy KBA-AR. Any individual desiring to speak will have indicated their desire prior to the board meeting. An individual with a disability will be given an equal opportunity to participate in board meetings. This may include someone speaking on their behalf if their disability or other medical needs limits their ability to attend in person. Board policy also speaks to the accommodations available. A speaker will be required to give their name, city of residence, and the group, if any, that is represented. If there are more patrons desiring to present comments than time allotted, the board chair has the authority to reduce the presentation time for individual speakers or institute a prioritization process with first priority to students and city of residence. Speakers may offer objective criticisms of district operations and programs that are of concern to them. The board is restricted from hearing and will not consider complaints regarding any individual staff member or any person connected with the district. As an organization centered around youth and their positive development, all speakers will model respectful public comment and be mindful of civil discourse. We will keep the order of speakers announced by the chair. So first is Kylie Corbus. Welcome. Mr. Corbus, I believe. All right. Please state your name, city of residence, and any group that you represent, and then the clock will begin.
Michael Corbus, Oak Grove. As I said last time, I was going to reveal what the superintendent had to say last May about the threat my daughter and wife received from the district's favorite bully. I happen to agree with the superintendent's assessment. Upon hearing that our daughter missed 9 days of school due to the psychological and emotional toll this teacher's threat had on her, instilling fear that if she went to school, she might be taken away from us, we called a bunch of people at the school and just got them committed to keeping an eye on our daughter and protecting her. The superintendent agreed this was a violation of FAPE, a free and appropriate education, for Kylie, and suggested we file a complaint to HR, which would start an investigation. She helped us with that, and I want to thank you for that. Human Resources seems to disagree with the superintendent. Not only did they not require any recompense from the teacher in question, but they also continue to employ her, which is shameful. The district claims to be a safe place for students, and yet even though your superintendent recognized the loss of FAPE and the toll this threat took on our daughter and family, there is still no accountability for a rogue teacher who threatened a student. One of your most vulnerable students at that, and her mom. Does HR fear this teacher because she used to be the union rep and she is connected to local media? She's silenced Julia Silverman at the Oregonian from talking to me. State government so much that they disregard her behavior, even though...
To please not identify our staff.
I didn't. I said Julia Silverman. She works for the Oregonian.
You are giving very clear indication and information about who you are speaking about. We have asked you to please not identify.
And I'm telling you, I'm not referencing a name. It's only become a problem because I've come over and over again. Yes, it is. You're violating my First Amendment right. I'm following the rules.
You are referencing a staff
I have a
member.
right to do that as a father. And you should not say that to me. I talked to the men. I talked to these men.
No.
They know, no, this is something I can say. I have a right to defend my family. Is there something wrong with that? You would do the
not have
same
a right
thing.
to specifically identify our staff members.
I did not.
You're giving enough information that you are specifically
I did it last
identifying our
week. She
staff
was
member.
sitting in the room. That's
You're giving
ridiculous.
enough information.
No, you.
So please, if you can continue without disparaging a specific staff member.
She threatened. I'm only describing who she is because she threatened to call Child Protective Services and have my daughter taken away. Don't you see that that's ridiculous? And you're looking the other way? To even interrupt me is ridiculous. And I think most people here know that. They just can't freaking say it because they're afraid of her or they're afraid of somebody. The teachers' unions, it's true.
Yeah, can we run his time?
No, do not run my time. I'm finishing talking to you. You said you guys don't follow the rules that you make. Someone needs to hold this teacher accountable and take appropriate action to make sure this sort of behavior that resulted in loss of faith, harm to child and family never happens again. If your own HR department won't hold her accountable, which the superintendent believed that they should, it was a violation of faith, then the board must hold both this teacher and your HR department accountable, even if this bully teacher helps some of you get elected. If you are unwilling to do that, and let a teacher make threats to your most vulnerable students and their families, you're proving evidence that you are not a district who protects all children, but you are a district who picks and chooses favorites. I'm calling for you to take appropriate disciplinary action regarding this teacher. And it's insane. You say there's no ability to talk back, but you've done it twice now. It's not fair. I don't care about policy because you violate policy. You make policy up to not allow us to speak. You canceled speeches. You know it's true. I just wish you would be honest.
All right, that's your time. That's your time. As you know, we typically do not respond to public comment, but we want to make it clear that we have repeatedly offered to meet with you to hear your concerns. All right.
So hold on a second. Hold on a second before you start.
Mr. Corbus,
I want to respond to that.
No, there is no response, sir. You have 3 minutes. Do you have a speech? Sir, I did not interrupt you until you were disrespectful. Please do not interrupt me. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name again.
Michael Corbus, Oak Grove. Here's another example. I've spoken about a culture of silence in the past. Another example of how there is a culture of silencing people of different opinions in this district with the groupthink. After I spoke last time, I was talking to some men in the lobby who work for the district, and a lady came out and interrupted us. It seemed she was trying to stop them from talking to me. I said to her, I'm talking to them as fellow fathers. You are not a father, you would not understand. And she acted offended and said something to the effect of, you don't know that I don't know what it's like to be a father. And I had to tell her that actually you don't know what it's like to be a father because you are not a father. It's a verifiable fact. Just like I'm not a mother, and I would never be so prideful to claim that I know what it's like to be a mother. Did she think these men are weak and they can't decide if they want to talk to me? And so she has to come and rescue them? They're grown men, roughly my age. Was she afraid if I have a conversation with them, I might actually change their mind and they would begin agreeing with me, challenging the district groupthink? This is just another example of people in the district trying to silence differing opinions. You just did it now. I mean, you guys proved the point. Look, for the first time, many of you and many in the North Clackamas community and beyond are being challenged on your progressive religious dogmas. And I said that, progressive religious dogmas. It's time to stop running from and trying to silence conversations with those who believe and think differently than you, or calling them one of your favorite slurs in order to shut them up. You wouldn't believe what your most fervent supporters call me online, just for defending my family. Next time, I'll be sharing more evidence of your silencing tactics. We have screenshots from some of you using your favorite slurs to silence people like me who are Christians and conservatives. These silencing tactics have got to stop now. And I do not appreciate The fact that you have rules and you violate them right tonight by responding to me, going back and forth. It's not a debate, but yet you debate. It's so upsetting that because of politics and fear from the teachers' unions, from that teacher, that you can't be honest with me. And there's a lot of people outside this building. I've heard from people inside the building who are saying, keep talking, keep speaking out. It's making a difference. But the fact that you can't do that, you violate your own rules in order to slow me down, silence me. You did it all last year. You canceled me 3 times, 3 speeches. It's shameful. It's absolutely shameful. But I do appreciate what you did for us. Thank you.
All right, we want to state briefly for the audience that how you are characterizing the district personnel is not accurate. All right, thank you. We will move on.
Hold on.
We will move on. Native land acknowledgement. We will begin the native land acknowledgement with Director Way. Director Way will lead the acknowledgement this evening.
Okay. We acknowledge the land on which we sit and which we call the North Clackamas School District rests on the traditional and indigenous lands and village sites of the native peoples of the Kalapuya, Chinook, Molalla, and the Clackamas. We take this opportunity to offer gratitude for the ability to learn, work, and be a community on this land, and we offer thanks to the original caretakers of this region. We recognize the historic policies of colonization, genocide, relocation, and assimilation that affected Indigenous and Native families, both past and present, and that will affect those in the future, and honor the resilience and revitalization of our Indigenous and Native communities. We pay respects to our elders, both past and present, who have been the stewards of this land throughout the generations.
Thank you, Director Way. We will now have our flag salute. Director Kemp, will you lead the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag tonight?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. We will move on now to our consent agenda. In the board packet, you will find the consent agenda for this evening's meeting. The items on the consent agenda is employment changes and a travel request, Sabin Schellenberg Professional Technical Center, FFA. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Chair, I move the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Wachter second. Oh, tie.
Excellent. It's been moved by Director Way and seconded by Director Wachter that it's been properly moved by Director Way and seconded by Director Wachter. Is there any discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye? Aye. Aye as well. All those opposed? Excellent. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you. The North Clackamas Education Association featured
Chair
educator.
Beneloga.
Oh, sorry.
Chair Beneloga.
Am I?
Minutes from last week. Did we skip the minutes?
I apologize. I did. I went right to consent agenda. I apologize. Thank you. In the board packet, you will find the minutes of the September 21st, 2023 meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Chair, I make a motion to approve the September 21, 2023 board minutes.
Is there a second? Second. All right. It's been properly moved by Director Way and seconded by Director McVeigh. Is there any discussion? I will call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye as well. All those opposed? Excellent. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you for rescuing me, Ms. Collingwood. Now, we will have the North Clackamas Education Association featured educator. Next on the agenda is the NCEA featured educator. I welcome the NCEA President, Melinda Ryan.
Hello, good evening, board directors and other directors. Nice to see everyone tonight. I would like to introduce to you Summer Smith, who is a kindergarten teacher at Sunnyside Elementary. I would say no connection, but very much connection. She receives the honor of the North Clackamas Education Association featured educator this evening, based on the nominations that were sent into NCEA. And I'd like to share with you all what was said about Summer this evening. The person who nominated her said, "I am just getting to know Summer Smith, but I believe from my interactions that she represents all the characteristics of the OEA core values. I've been working with Summer Smith recently to support a student with significant needs. I've been impressed by her level of commitment to her classroom, her children, and doing right by every individual. I've seen her level of organization, intentionality, compassion, excellence in lesson planning, and execution. She believes in social emotional learning being a key foundation for her children's learning and success in the future. She's both centered on the wellness of her students as a group and on the wellness of individual children. She tries to meet every need and respond to every challenge and does so with strength and positivity. She has experience working as a special educator, and she spends loads of extra time to ensure she is meeting her children's learning needs through the supports and materials that are accessible for them. Her heart is leading her work, and it shows. And I, as someone who works closely with Summer on the kindergarten team, can confirm that everything stated above is absolutely true. Summer's positivity and heartfelt belief that every student can learn given the appropriate structures and support is inspiring. When it comes to her colleagues and her coworkers, she's a person who genuinely cares about how you are doing. She asks because she actually wants to know, and she gives the best hugs. So Summer's an amazing educator and is fully deserving of this honor.
Hello, I'm Summer Smith. Having not known what was going to be read, what I'm going to read sounds similar. So in a lot of ways, I'm really honored to be given that introduction and the award. I was asked to speak briefly on the joys and the challenges of the work that we do as educators. This is my 12th year in North Clackamas School District. I worked for 8 years as a learning specialist between Lot Whitcomb and Ardenwald Elementary. And I joined the Sunnyside team as a general education teacher during the pandemic. And then last year started teaching kindergarten, which is a lovely world. There are so many joys to this work. The hugs, the smiles, the excitement, and the joy that comes with discovering what it means to be a learner. It can't help but warm your heart. Watching a child discover that putting sounds together means they can read a word and seeing the pride on their face is an incredible feeling. Reading a book aloud and asking a question and having a student connect with the character in a deep way is beautiful. Supporting a child who has experienced big emotions and watching them use their regulation strategy to get calm is a reminder that life skills are being taught here in the classroom. Asking a question about a book and having a student tell you there's a booger on the floor in response to a question is hilarious. We as educators are blessed to have an opportunity to exist in the lives of our students. We get a chance to make a difference. We get to be another person who makes sure they know that they are loved and valued and deserving of respect. And it's something that I don't take for granted. This year and last, I've had the opportunity to participate in a learning community focused on purposeful play in the classroom at the kindergarten level. I know that there's been a lot of conversation about that here in the boardroom as well. This experience has brought great joy as students are engaging in authentic and meaningful language acquisition, science and social studies vocabulary, and social skills development. They're gaining skills and confidence and seeing themselves as valuable and important leaders who are capable of teaching one another. Those learning barriers that can sometimes be present are disappearing within this context. The work is hard, but it brings joy to see the kids experience this level of success. Now for the challenges. On occasion, I'm reminded by people that sentiment of it's just a job. If you died, you'd be replaced in 2 weeks. It's a bit morose, but it's true to an extent. There would be a person teaching in my classroom. The problem is that in education, it isn't just a job, it's your heart. It is impossible to meet the demands of day-to-day without giving of yourself. There is no clock out and walk away. Sometimes it's money, money for your classroom, your students, for that fun activity or that new book that you know a specific student will love. Often it's money for snacks because students need to eat, and to expect families to bring snack is not always feasible, especially in today's economy. Sometimes it's money for your sanity because that organizer or those new whiteboard markers are really going to make your life that much easier. It's always something. When it isn't money, it's time and energy. It's time spent in the classroom on weekends, early mornings, and after school. It's time spent thinking about that student that you're trying to reach and figure out how to best support them. It's time focused away from your own family, your friends, and loved ones. Some say spend less time at work. I'd love to. However, if I worked my 40-hour work week, my classroom literally wouldn't function. I'm efficient, I'm organized, I'm focused, but between meetings and what feels like the never-ending addition of more non-instruction focused work, especially this year, it's feeling impossible. I often wonder what would happen if we all worked our hours. Oh, chaos. Provided curriculum without time to dive in and teach it well is simply a book with words to read. Assessments required without clear structure, training, or a plan for implementation means hours lost of instruction time. Time scheduled in a day to teach a lesson without time to adequately plan is just time to be filled. Luckily, in North Clackamas, there are many who love this work like I do. There are incredible educators who spend their time, energy, and money and put their heart and soul into education in the lives of students. I love being a teacher. This is what I was born to do. This is work of the heart. I love my students, both past and present. I value them and their families. I value this opportunity to speak and share with you those joys and challenges that are within the work that we do. I appreciate you taking the time to listen.
Thank you. Do we have any comments from our board directors?
I just want to thank you for sharing your experience with us, for sharing your heart with your students, and just let you know how deeply we appreciate you and what you do.
Director Bauer?
Yes, thank you for giving that example of a teacher. You know, I mean, people don't understand if they don't walk in your shoes. And we have my oldest grandchild started kindergarten, and she was so excited she started reading some sight words. And it's a gift. I mean, you work your magic, and I am so grateful for what you do as a teacher. Thank you. Well deserved.
Any other comments or discussion? I just want to mention that, you know, the kindergartners are really, that's near and dear to my heart. I ran a preschool at home for 26 years. So that 3 to 5 year old age is just my favorite time of life almost. I just love kids at that point. I think it's wonderful to watch them graduate. It just melts my heart, but there's something really, really special about kindergarten. So thank you so much for everything you do. And last meeting, I had a Japanese proverb that I said, and you reminded me of that. And it said, better than 1,000 days of diligent study is one day with a great teacher. So thank you so much for you and for all of the teachers that we have in North Clackamas that are great teachers to our kids. Thank you and congratulations. All right, now we move on to Happy Valley Elementary School presentation. I welcome Executive Director of Elementary Schools, Patricia Ahrens, for this agenda item, and she will introduce our guests.
Good evening. Well, before I turn the microphone to the school team, I would like to share that I had the opportunity to be at Happy Valley the first day of school, and I just want to uplift the principal and her staff for the wonderful job that they did creating an environment of a very inviting atmosphere for all the families who came to drop off their kids for the first time this school year. So, and I was lucky enough to be there. So tonight, I'm honored to introduce Principal Hall and her team.
Hello there. Thank you for having us. Like Patricia said, my name is Heather Hull, and I'd like to introduce all the important people at our school at Happy Valley Elementary. We have Heather Harris, who is a 5th grade teacher. We have Crystal Navarro, who is a 1st grade teacher. And we have Tanya Thomas, who is our PTO co-president. So thank you all for coming to join me. We are going to get started, and I could talk for days on our school, but I will keep it to a minimum. This is our staff here at Happy Valley Elementary. In front of our bell, this was back to school, Teacher in Service Week. And at Happy Valley Elementary, we welcome everyone, and our relationships and connections are really important to us and our whole community. And we work hard to make sure that our students feel valued, respected, and empowered to become lifelong learners. We encourage them to stand up, speak up, and we want to make sure every student knows that they matter. We work hard, especially in 1st grade, to make sure kids have a growth mindset, and we focus on our core values of joy, perseverance, curiosity, belonging, and compassion. And our extreme focus is making sure all of our students meet or exceed benchmarks in literacy.
At Happy Valley, our students love to read. Throughout the primary grades, teachers focus on phonics, decodable readers, and instilling the love of literacy into each and every student. Teachers meet students where they are with targeted reading interventions and encourage literacy through gameplay, online reading platforms, and a variety of guided instructional practices. This love of reading follows students through upper elementary, where they can broaden their horizons through Fontes and Pinnell offerings of complex, challenging texts. For most of our Cougar students, there's no better time of day than reading.
This year in writing, we get to try out some new units, like the launching unit we're in right now in 4th grade, which allows the students to choose any topic and any genre they want.
I've learned that you can write about your life, you can write whatever you want.
In writing, I've learned to write in different genres, like poetry and fantasy.
I like writing stories because then I'll bring them home and I can share with my family and friends.
The writing PD with Matt Glover has been life-changing for me as a teacher, but also for my students. This is my 8th year in North Clackamas School District, and kind of the first year that I've received really solid writing professional development, and I'm so excited. It's transformed my classroom, and it's only like the 10th day of school. Students are already buzzing in the classroom, completely engaged in their writing, and when we reflect in our closing circle at the end of the day, they say the thing that made them the happiest in that day was writing time.
I feel like my whole room has been structured around this idea of play and SEL. We're talking a lot right now in the district about collaboration, and I mean, what better place to learn collaboration in the classroom than through play? They're already doing it right now, and we're 5 days in talking about how to work together and problem solve. Our students learn the most when it's meaningful application of whatever we're learning, and what better way to apply language than when we're playing together.
Well, I really can't say it better than everybody up there did. This year, while we focused a lot on phonics and just evidence-based practices K2, we are excited this year to really take the opportunity to lean in and do more with 3rd through 5th grade. We have an instructional coach this year that's focusing on all grade levels. We are going to continue the peer-to-peer observations, lesson studies that we did with K2 last year. We had great opportunities with that were amazing. We're continuing that with 3-5, and we're going to continue moving our phonics work up to 3rd through 5th grade using the benchmark intervention program and refining our MTSS practices. as a school. And we're going to continue to lean into the writing work that we've been doing that the teachers are loving, and play in kindergarten. We're excited to be adding language for all into that play. So we're excited to see how that, it's already exciting to see what our kindergartners can do with their language. Just even in the first 6 weeks of school, it was exciting the first couple days of school. So we can't wait to see how that impacts things. So we're excited for those changes. And I have another video, and now I'll be prepared that it'll just like jump right in.
Ever since our Caring School community adoption, it's really transformed the classroom, and it's really my favorite part of the day because we start each day together in a circle, listening to each other, practicing that active listening and sharing and solving problems together. Every week, a home connection goes home with our families, and they know exactly what we're talking about in our circles and can have those deep conversations at home as well. It's been super impactful in our classrooms.
I think it's important that people feel safe so we can become a community and be able to work together when there's like tough things we need to get through, or like if someone had something that they're feeling sad about, like they lost their dog, we can all help them through it, and we're there for each other, so we're not all like just separated and not talking to each other, so we have each other's backs. We're a community. We help each other. We know when we need to be there and when sometimes it's good to leave them alone, which I really like about this school.
From spirit days and grade level colors to events like Dot Day and school-wide art projects, our students and staff are always coming together to celebrate our community.
Well, today is Dot Day, and it's one of my favorite days of the school year. The reason why is because it brings our whole school together as one big community. You can see families out there making sure their kids are dressed up in their dots. We had our PTO parent volunteers spread dots all around our school for us to find. Everybody got to make a button this school year, and it's just nice to see the collaboration, teachers, students coming together to celebrate creativity, making their mark in the world, and just being unique this year and special.
I made my mark by I can help others. Maybe the people who I helped, they help others, and then it just carries on.
I love the book and the holiday. I love dots a lot, so that's why I like Dot Day.
See where it takes you. See where it takes you. When you make a mark, make a mark. All you gotta do is start. Paint a dot and watch it splatter. Make a mark. Make it matter. Make it matter.
So we work hard in the classroom and also with the counselor and all throughout the building just to increase student skills in the social emotional learning area and help them navigate all the complexities of life as an elementary school student. And we really work hard to also uplift their voices and engage them in leadership opportunities. So we are having fun at Happy Valley Elementary, and Dot Day was September 15th, just in case you were wondering. It's a big deal for our school. So we have a lot of school projects and events just to bring our community together. And one of those was Dot Day. We also do a winter reading challenge. We have some examples of dot artwork up on the walls. And we also have an identity project that we did that you will find right over there, where kids talk about it's okay to be different and what they like about themselves. So we are also, in addition to all those fun things, we do cross-age buddies. So in some of the pictures, you saw some little kids with some big kids, and just bringing our school together and just highlighting what they can do, because our kids can do great things. We are also rebuilding our partnership Not that our partnership disappeared with Happy Valley Middle School, but with COVID and everything, it kind of dwindled. So we're rebuilding that and getting some of our middle school volunteers back in the classrooms and on the playground. So it's a lot of fun. Sorry.
My name is Rachel Pearson, and I am the co-president of the Happy Valley Elementary School Parent-Teacher Organization. We come into the school to help our students and teachers be creative and collaborative and courageous. We do fundraisers, we do school-wide events, we do community events, and we're really just here to support everybody's learning and teach students how to be part of a community. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Tanya Thomas, and I'm one of the co-presidents here at Happy Valley Elementary. Some of the things we do are community events, teamed up with Nelson and Clackamas, doing the Winter Blitz. We collected over 2,000 clothing and canned food to give back to families in need. Our other amazing event that we do is our walk and roll twice a year. We educate the families of our school, the community surrounding us, on the safety and importance on the streets of our school. We team up with the city, the police department, Safe Routes, Oregon Impact, and bring all this educational information to the kids. And then they get to walk from the park to the school with their teachers. Our other event that we do is the Happy Valley Fun Run. Huge community event that's been happening for 43 years that was started originally by our PE teacher. And that helps support our community and also brings back money for our school.
So we have a ton of events that we do at Happy Valley Elementary. We just finished up our jogathon yesterday in the rain. And we have just a slew of things coming up. We do a carnival this year. We're doing a carnival this year, and we will continue to do walk and roll to school. We had one earlier this year, and we'll do one in May. And be careful as you're driving by on those events, because we also have crosswalk stings happening on King Road, because it's very busy and people are not always following the rules. So we work hard to keep our kids safe, and we will continue to do that. And our PTO has been amazing. And last year they donated over 2,357 hours, which is unbelievable. And I know there are thousands of hours that were not accounted for in the little school machine, computer. So they're an amazing group of parents that support our school. So we thank them every day. And we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you so much. Any director have any comment or question? Director Kim?
Yeah, we moved here before having kids for our kids to go to the Happy Valley, and it's been great. It was a great experience for them. Everything seems to be going as well or better than it did when they were there. And, my daughter knew at a young age that she wanted to be a teacher. It's kind of a calling. And she has been for 10 years now, fourth grade in another district, and is very happy. And I'm really proud of her and happy that she's been able to do that and be successful with it. So, and I know it's a lot of work. I hear a lot from her. So you guys are doing a great job. Thank you very much for all the efforts you folks do and all the other teachers there at the school.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? Director Bauer?
Thank you for the report. I appreciate it. I did attend a literacy, I think, back there. Are you doing a follow-up on that? I was just wondering. It was great. And this, I've seen the scores in the report that the district is doing. And so can you just comment on how that program's going with you and your literacy?
So we had a parent that helped us put that together, actually several parents that helped put that together with a group of teachers. And so we hope to bring it back a little bit earlier in the year, so it's not quite so hot when we do it. But yes, so we're hopeful, and we will get a team together planning that soon.
Thank you. That was a great connection with the community too. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other director have a comment or question? Director Wachter.
Love that presentation. I got a feeling about Happy Valley Elementary from that presentation. Thank you for all the hours it took to put that together even. My two oldest children also went to Happy Valley Elementary and just loved that experience and still look back on it very fondly. Now they're in their 20s, but they loved that school. What strikes me about this presentation and probably the reflection of the school is the intense care for the community. Like that matters, the internal community and also facing outward to the external community that you're part of. And I love that the SEL program is really coming through in that. What does SEL look like at a day-to-day level? Besides the special events, what does it look like in the classroom?
Go ahead. Well, just to start off with, I'm a product of the North Clackamas School District from Happy Valley Elementary. I was a kindergartner at Happy Valley straight through, and I'm back and my own children went through. I can't seem to leave. And now I'm teaching at Happy Valley. So all full circle. And SEL is a great part of our school. It takes place. It's not just, we have the curriculum is our morning meetings, our morning circles, and our closing circles, but SEL is really an all-day event. And so we kind of start off in our morning circles. We do a good morning, which is really nice because just being able to having each student acknowledged by name, saying good morning to them already kind of sets you off on the right foot. And being able just to talk about different communications that we can have with each other, different ways we can fill each other's buckets, different ways we can problem solve, and just having a secret student, identifying someone specific and kids asking them questions, all ways to build community and understanding how valuable community is and leaning on each other and being there for each other and supporting each other, and then bringing it back together at the end of the day as well, but also filling in and pulling back to those morning circles. If we're having a conflict in the day, you can have a circle in the middle of the day and have SEL time and talk about, well, what did we talk about this morning? How can we bring it to what's happening right now in this situation? And what did we talk about this morning that we can use at this moment in time right now? And those are all very valuable things. So we have the designated morning and afternoon moments, but truly it is an all day piece of who we are.
Thank you. Empathy matters.
Yes.
Thank you for teaching it.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? I just have a couple of things. First of all, thank you for bringing up the Literacy Institute. I've heard so much good things from teachers across the district. It sounds like it was wonderful. So I'm very excited to see that continue and grow and thrive. And so thank you for bringing that up. I did have a question. You talked about teacher peer-to-peer observations. So how does that work exactly? And what does that look like at Happy Valley?
So last year we had the opportunity, one of our teachers participated in the literacy cohort through early elementary programs. Jen Burkhardt helped organize it. And what happens is that a group of teachers get together. So it happened to be at second grade. They got together, they planned a lesson, they went in and taught it once in a classroom. I should let you talk about that, but they taught it in the classroom. Then they came out, reflected on what happened with that lesson. They tweak it, and then they go back in, and each person takes a little part of that lesson to teach with students. Then they come out, they try it again. And so it was really a great opportunity to look at how we engage students in learning, what we can do to do things a little bit differently and kind of refine practice. And the feedback from everybody that did it was like, this is absolutely amazing. So after a bit of begging, Jen Burkhardt allowed our kindergarten and first grade cohort or teachers to join cohorts that were already existing. And so our K-2 teachers got the opportunity to participate in experiences like that, to do planning. And I think it's a great opportunity to level up our instruction. And so we loved it, and we're super excited to have it happen for our 3rd through 5th grade teachers this year as well. So.
All right, well, thank you for that information. And I do want to also just say it was a great presentation. Thank you so much. I know these are I know even the presentations and making a video and all of that, making that magic happen, I know that takes time, so we appreciate it. And I also want to apologize to Patrizia. I pronounced your name incorrectly, which someone who my name is first and last name are often mispronounced. I apologize. So I have that in my head now. So I apologize, but it's Patrizia. So I want to correct myself. All right.
And I'll just call out that Abby Dankop did a huge amount of that presentation, lest you think it was me.
Thank you. Credit where credit is due. We appreciate that. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And our superintendent's report. So next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. I welcome Superintendent Shay James.
Well, good evening from a different place in the room. Tonight I'm joined by Dr. Kalia Williams Rodriguez, our Senior Director of Equity, Engagement, and Enrollment, and we're going to share information with you tonight on the Superintendent's Report. So getting us started, I think you know a theme for us here in North Clackamas is really connected to our strategic plan, and it's to celebrate our folks and have gratitude for the things that they do and what they bring to our students. And so tonight, I want to start by acknowledging and celebrating a few of the folks within our organization. And this is the same way we start most of our meetings throughout the district. And so it's a nice piece to also be able to bring here to the board. So as you see here, our Chartwell's Nutrition Service team were one of 4 finalists for a national award recently. And this includes the team that you see here on the screen. Pictured going clockwise is Greg Collins, our director, who is amazing at partnering with us. He pivots at a moment's notice, and he really just always keeps students at the forefront, as does the rest of the team that you see here. Israel Laura Alice is our operations manager, who is also can often be seen throughout the district supporting. Christina DeHutt, you hear us call her Chris DeHutt oftentimes, who makes sure that our students' voices are being heard in the lunch choices that are presented, often feeding us when we need to, and doing the work, and then supporting them and all the students are Paula Presley and Amy Ramsey, who are both admin assistants. And we have Rami Khan, who is a production manager, who is also on the screen. So as I've said, this team continuously goes above and beyond in caring for and servicing the nutritional service needs of all of our students and often staff. And so we are very grateful for each and every one of them and for the teams who are in the building working to service and support our students with nutritional service needs. So just wanted to make sure that we recognize that work. In addition to that, and he does not have knowledge that we were doing this tonight, on behalf of us at yes. On behalf of North Clackamas School District, we would like to thank Director McVeigh for his 10 years of service as a school board member. That is a long reign, and we are so appreciative. Director McVeigh is a champion of kids and continues to volunteer time and many efforts in our school district. We see you in a lot of different places, not just here at the board meeting, and we're super appreciative of that. And that straddles both students and staff. And so we're grateful for that work. So you have continued to serve us through the good times and also the challenging times. And we're so appreciative and just want to say thank you for your continued service. And our chief of staff has an award for you that you get to take and a small memento that just says thank you from all of us here at North Clackamas, and that was a joint effort from everyone. So thank you. Did I go too far there? So switching gears, many of you know we bring this back every year that school districts are required to report to our school board and the community in public board meetings on compliance with Oregon's Division 22 standards for public elementary and secondary schools each and every year. And these standards are the OARs that govern standard practices in public schools. So the Division 22 standards include over 50 individual rules, which can be categorized in 4 large buckets. So you have teaching and learning, health and safety, district performance and accountability, and human resources and staffing. So here on this slide, you can see examples of what specific standards are in each category. So for instance, you see there's fingerprinting based on background checks, standards connected to human resources that they must perform. Or you see another one that's on here for state assessment requirements linked to teaching and learning standards. So I think it's important for us to give credit to our staff that over the last 8 weeks, the North Clackamas executive team has reviewed each and every one of the requirements. It's a heavy lift for compliance for the 22-23 school year, but really we're looking at were we in compliance for last school year. So you hear the 22-23, but I think that's important to point out. So our staff indicates that we were in compliance with required standards for the 21-22 school year, with the exception of, 22-23 school year, with the exception of OAR 581 022 2263 regarding required minutes of physical education instruction at the middle school level. So this is an evolving requirement, one that is currently incongruent with the current middle school schedule. And it's one that the North Clackamas School District also reported noncompliance on for the previous year. Despite new legislation that has provided more flexibility, the legislation does not provide enough flexibility to make the current middle school instruction program in compliance with the schedule that we have. So currently I can tell you 2 things that we're working on to rectify that. District staff is working in conjunction with ODE to determine the options moving forward, including the likelihood of needing to rework the middle school schedules. And so that's something that we're not taking lightly and really taking a look at. And following this report to the board and the community, staff will submit the appropriate report to ODE and post compliance information on the school website prior to ODE's deadline. So that's something, if you have questions at the end, we'd be happy to talk about. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Williams Rodriguez to take us through a few additional things.
Good evening, happy Thursday. So I'm excited to share, it's with great pleasure that I get to share our work this year so far. So prior to a discussion with the school board previously brought forth the Youth Equity Committee. And this is where we have students from middle school to high schools speaking their truth. And as you know, working with students, there's no hesitation there. So it's been a good experience. We had 1 meeting in person so far, and it was approximately 35 students. And it's a way that, again, where you can see our purpose there. They're sharing their lived experience. They're representing middle school. Each middle school has representation. Each high school has representation. And it's an opportunity for them to help us practice interrupting any of the isms that may be seen and unseen in our school district. So we talk about race, gender, class, and so forth. And so some of the goals and outcomes we have this year is to help put together a video. We're going to look at some lesson plans around how we can place information into our schools, and then bring students forward in front of you to share their why. So stay tuned for that. So you can see with this, with our school district strategic plan, we're highlighting the student experiences and success. The other opportunity we have is our Educational Equity Advisory Committee, and that falls under Senate Bill 732. And that is, will begin next month. And here is where we have an opportunity to invite a small group of constituents. So we have students, we will have community members, and we will have partners, again, sharing their truth about what is happening in our community, that we can help inform our policies, our practices, and again, providing feedback to ultimately the school board and superintendent's office. So I'm excited to see that come to fruition. It will be a smaller group. We have 4 opportunities this year to meet together, and we will have an opportunity to listen and lean into the work again, of our strategic plan, and looking forward to nominating someone from that committee to be on the budget committee. So that too is part of our outcome. And that committee, with SB 732, is approximately 15 to 20 people. So we shall see. Community conversations. This is an opportunity where we will hear from members in our school community across our school district. It's intended to be a two-way facilitated conversation, which will help to guide, again, the work of our strategic plan, particularly we talk about family collaboration and how that's important in our work, and we want to prioritize that. We're highlighting our core values, and we started with relationships this year, moving into care, and we have an interest in looking at how we respond to harm that is done to anybody in our community as it pertains to equity. So we're looking at a response framework and what that's going to look like for our students, staff, and families. And that will include several community members, approximately 60, up to 60 members. So that will be important work.
So at this time, we'll take any questions you have.
All right, does anyone have any comments or questions on the superintendent's report? Vice Chair Wei?
Thank you. Really great report. I'm just so delighted to hear all the progress that's been being made with our youth equity work, but all of the other committees. So Dr. Williams Rodriguez, thank you so much for just enriching us with all of the really great progress. And I also, love the fact that you tie everything with our strategic plan, because I tend to forget a lot of details. There's a lot of things that are thrown at the board, but what I remember when I first started on the board was that, the strategic plan is really our guiding compass and our mission. So thank you for weaving that into why all of this is important, and also why we can measure success and outcomes that we're creating. I just have a quick question for the superintendent around the Division 22 and the middle school PE hours. So you said that we will be giving ODE back by their deadline our how we're complying. Is that correct to the area that we were out of compliance in? I just wanted to clarify that and when that will happen.
Yeah, so we're required to report to ODE by November 15th. I think that is, I'm looking at our chief of staff. It needs to be posted on our website by November 1st, but we'll continue to work with ODE past that deadline to bring ourselves into, to figure out what we're going to do to bring ourselves into compliance around that.
And are we, just to give a ballpark, in terms of our minutes, is it significantly less? What's the?
It is. I'm going to turn it over to our assistant superintendent here of education in just a second so she can give you more details, but it really lies around kind of the five course schedule that we have, and the will, and And if we were to, I will let her go into more detail, but if we were to implement it as it is, our students would really lose out on some of the elective and some of the enrichment that we worked so hard to make sure that they were getting through this schedule. And then when you further students that have disabilities or English language, like they may then end up with no enrichment or electives. And that's a hard thing for us to take, but what would you add to that?
Yeah, it is basically a math problem. And that is that we just do not have the minutes right now in the way that the schedule is configured. So right now we have 6th graders taking the most amount of minutes at PE, and then 7th and 8th grade take less. Even when we consider the adjustments specific to middle school, they only allow middle school PE teachers to be the ones that provide the PE minutes, where that's a difference. And so even if, and with the shortage of PE teachers, we don't have that opportunity. And then again, as Dr. James said, simply the way that our schedule works and how our enrichment or elective classes are provided, as well as the support classes for our ELs and our special education students, we simply can't make the numbers work. So there has been a change where we can do an average of minutes, but that just means that we have to change the schedule configuration so we could provide the PE minutes and also move forward with our instructional opportunities for electives, which we know is very much what keeps students engaged, and we do not want to alter the elective opportunities for our students that receive EL services and special education.
Thank you. That was a very thorough answer. So I appreciate it, and also understanding that it is a balance. And just follow up. Have we? I mean, I imagine that other school districts are also, in the same area with the PE time. Are there peer districts that we can kind of learn from them of how they're, how they're adjusting to this?
Yeah, I think we've definitely have looked at all of those. We have identified all of the pinch points, and we've had conversations with, for example, David Douglas, their superintendent, met with Dr. Cohen and I because they were having the same issues. They shared with us what they have done, and it really does boil down to the way our schedule is set up. So I think everybody has been discussing PE minutes for quite a while, and we're super appreciative of the fact that we do have some flexibility coming up, and simply we do have to make some changes in our schedule in order to be compliant, but yet honor what we want to offer for students.
Thank you.
And I just have since we're right there, and I have a follow-up to that, and my brain just forgot it. Oh, would that be a change that we make this year? Or are we talking about changing schedules for this year or for 24-25?
It would go for the 24-25 school year.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right, Director Bauer?
Yeah, I think you asked most of my questions. So it is doable, you're saying, in the next year?
Well, that's a hard way to put it. It is doable but we have to change our schedule in order to do that. And so that would involve community, right? And conversations and bringing in student voice and what does that look like? And it impacts teachers, and we got to look at the contracts. So there's a lot of logistics, I would say, that we would have to look at around there. So yes, we've been working hard to see if there was a different way and reaching out to other school districts and, the averages and all of that. But as we're getting down to it, it's not looking like it, so.
Yeah, I know it was a problem with other districts too, and it still is what you're saying.
It is. Some districts were able to come into compliance with the change to the legislation on the averaging of the minutes, but it just depends on what folks' schedules look like. And then some districts, their students don't have as much access to electives and or they're willing to take students out and, not do it. So it just really depends on each and every one, but some have come into compliance with the changes.
I just had one other, I was switching, unless you want to follow up on PE.
It's PE.
Well, go ahead with PE and then I'll come
PE
back.
first? Okay. So what if we chose just to be out of compliance?
conscious and made a decision? Like, we're
Yeah.
not going to do it.
Yeah, there's always risks with being out of compliance. Some of that, you can have your funding revoked. Some of that, you end up in working with ODE around other, around sanctions that you're looking at and what you have to do. I'm trying to think if there's any other ones that you would surface. So yes, you can be out of compliance, and there's risks with that. And I think also looking at our reputation across the state is it's a piece we have to weigh, right? And does that impact whether families would want to be here? Because you hear out of compliance and you don't necessarily know what that means in the details, right? You're hearing what it means in the details, but let's say you move here and just, well, that family's out of compliance with PE. It's hard to get those details to the folks to understand really what that means. So.
Yes, do we have more? Director Bauer?
I'll pass. I have something else.
Okay. All right, Director Dobson, we're still on the same vein of PE minutes.
As we have been for a while too, yes.
Thank you. Dr. James, could you tell me again, what was the name of the
ORS?
The ORS, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. OAR, sorry, I said ORS, OAR 581-022-2263.
Okay. And, not trying to put you on the spot, but do you think that this issue of the PE minutes and the legislation that created it could be objectively characterized as an unfunded mandate?
I see our assistant superintendent saying yes. So yes, whether everyone would characterize it in that way, I don't know. That's where I think you see my hesitation. So yes, there was a grant that just came out from ODE in the last week that allows school districts to apply for money to pay for PE teachers and other things around this. However, you have to be in compliance in order to apply for the grant. So there's some catches there as well.
Some snake eating its own tail. Thank you.
All right, back to Director Bauer.
Okay, I'll finish up. I was looking at the Youth Equity Committee. I enjoyed serving on that last year. The kids were great. And I knew a little bit how you chose those students. How you choose the Education Advisory Committee students, and they'll be different groups. So could you just talk a little bit about how you choose these students?
So that's a great question because we're in the process now. Some members are returning, and I have some of your names on my sheet here, so you'll be getting invitations too. So some of the members are returning, and then we're looking at criteria to select maybe some members who express an interest in joining. So it'll be a invitation to the community with the Google form through Parent Square, both for the educational and the community conversations. So the educational meets 4 times in a year, and the community will be 3 times.
But specifically, how are the students chosen on those
Sorry,
committees?
the students. So that goes out to administrators to ask specifically for a criteria around, do you see leadership opportunities in these students? And we had a lot of interest for the Youth Equity Committee. So we might move some of those students over to the Educational Advisory Committee. So last year, it sounds like there were about 20 students on the Youth Equity, and you heard me say 35 to 40. We just love our students. And so so some might transition over that way because they are either aspiring leaders, strong leaders, or have something to share.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, Director Kemp.
Oh, sorry, back to PE. I heard you say that you were having trouble finding PE teachers to hire.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you go through the work to change the schedule and yet you don't have the staff to fill that, I mean, how does I don't know how that works with ODE, if you simply can't find the staff.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a legitimate argument for being out of compliance, or how the state recognizes that shortfall in staffing.
It is definitely, it's definitely an issue. I think in part, looks like you have something to share as well. It looks like in part, I think that is why that grant has also come out. And, can we entice people to take on an additional endorsement? I think folks try to get creative with what PE looks like and how we do that across other school districts. And so, yes, that is a concern, and also facility space is a concern, quite frankly, when you start adding up the minutes and you start looking at where does this happen? Are we going to have to take kids outside in the rain? Are we going to, how does that happen? But looks like you have some additional.
Yeah, I think I had heard once that if you took all of the PE teachers that have the endorsement in the state and were able to give them all jobs, even if our facilities were apt to take PE, we still didn't have enough teachers to actually teach the minutes that were rendered through the OAR. So that aside, one of the creative opportunities that we suggested, we have, I think, a quarter of our middle schoolers participate in cross country, or our very robust cross country program. I think it's a quarter. It might be even more. And so we were saying the intent of the law is for our young people to be healthy. And to make these wonderful choices, we have opportunities that we're providing them, but that wasn't being counted. So to your question, the changing of the schedule just simply provides more blocks where kids can have those minutes. So it's not necessarily that we would need more teachers. We would fit the teachers that we have within the opportunities that they have per week. And then, because as I mentioned, in 6th grade, if they were taking more PE, we would lessen that in 6th grade and then provide them to have more PE in 7th and 8th grade. So it really is about, that's why I said it was a mathematical problem. It's about the number of opportunities that we have to insert kids into taking a PE period. And our current schedule doesn't match the average that we have to arrive to.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have a question or a comment? Okay, I just want to say, again, thank you for the presentation. I think that the Youth Equity Committee was some of the most valuable time I spent with kids last year. Really wonderful to hear just how smart and passionate and engaged they are. And also the community conversations, just opening up the district and opening up those channels of communication and giving our community time to just be in the same room and live and breathe together and discuss the topics that are really at front of mind for a lot of our families. Again, I just think I love to see that we're out in the front and we're at the forefront of making those decisions and bringing people in to really talk about the big issues that are happening for our families. So I want to thank you. And again, thank you for your report. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll be discussing PE minutes again another night. Yeah. All right, board reports. Customarily, board members report on their activity within the school district each month. This time is set aside for each board member to share a report. Director Bauer.
I get to start. Thank you, Chairman Logan. Well, it's been really busy. There's a few things going on. The big thing is we have a levy, and that will be voted on November 7th. And it's really, really important. It makes a huge impact on our community, our teachers. So we're trying to get the word out. And there's people here, everyone is helping in some capacity, but I can't let that go by without acknowledging that. It's so important for our kids' education. It's so important to our staff. We can't lose teachers. We can't replace them if we lay them off. So I just have to, I can't go without saying that. And it's all about getting the word out. We need to make sure we get our message So I've been out to a number of community groups. Our district has been there at every single one. I haven't been to as many as they have, and some of the directors up here have also joined us. Happy Valley Business Alliance, Beatrice Morrow Candidate PTO, Adrian C. Nelson PTA, Alder Creek PTO, City of Happy Valley, Milwaukee Rotary, Willamette View, Rao Middle School Back to School Night. But I know everyone here is spending just as much time or more, and we need to keep that up. We need to reach 13,000 people to vote yes. I'll just say that. So that's the biggest thing in my life right now. I did go to the OSBA Legislative Roadshow. That was good. It's an important update on all the bills, and there were a lot of bills. I'll let other directors talk about that. And again, the Rao community collaboration had 22 partners caring about our community of Rao Middle School. And it's just so exciting to see all of those different people in the community stepping up because they care about the kids there and their families. So that I'll quit on that. But thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Bauer. Director Dobson.
Thank you, Chair Betaloga. I saw a lot of my fellow board members in the last couple of weeks. We were showing up in a lot of the same places, so I think there'll be a lot of repeats as we go down the line here. But I also attended the OSBA Legislative Roadshow, and got to do some in-depth examination of some of the legislation that was passed that will most directly affect school districts and their funding sources and their levels of compliance, and some of the legislation that even will affect this body itself. So that was really interesting, and good to collaborate with them and know that they're there and learning and advocating for us and for what will actually make our boards and our districts work. I also attended the kickoff for our NCLAC education levy, and it was really nice to have community there, along with some elected officials and board members, to just really cement how important this is. And I know Mitzi feels like she just says it over and over, and and I'll say it over and over too. It's really important. We all know that it's really important. Our school district is a gem, and there's no reason to diminish either the gifts that it gives to students, or the futures that are out there for those students if they can succeed in a really good school district like this one. So none of us want to see those returns diminished, and I think we're doing a good job of getting the word out there and making sure that everyone in our community knows that this is not a new tax, and that it will keep our schools functioning at the level, and our students performing and being supported at the level to which they've become accustomed. And I don't think anyone wants to see that backslide. And then something else from the last couple of weeks was a training that I attended at the Children's Center in Oregon City for stewards of children, learning to protect children from sexual abuse. And I was joined there by Chair Benaloga. It was really hard, but also, again, super important work, like all of the work that we do. I was really glad to have that experience and gain that knowledge and training. And I think we're both looking forward to looking into how we can share that information and that experience with other people in the district. So that is my report.
Thank you. Director Kemp.
Like Mitzi and April noted, the levy is consuming a lot of the time outside of regular board meetings. I also attended the kickoff event for the levy at and that was a good event. I've also attended several back-to-school nights and open houses, as well as a Happy Valley City Council meeting regarding the presentation for the school levy to the council. And I would say outside of the board meetings, the levy is probably one of the single most important items facing, or that's on my horizon right now. So again, getting the word out, making people aware and how important it is to the district. In all the years I've lived in Happy Valley since 1990, I've supported every bond and every operating levy that's come through, and I'm happy to do it, and hopefully others will feel the same way. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Director McVeigh.
10 years ago, no. So we've already talked about the levy and the kickoff and back to school night, so I won't bore you, but I will say we finished a benefits committee meeting, and I don't know, we might get an update in the next few board meetings, or that we might be getting in our own way on making changes in the benefits committee that unnecessarily might need to come to the board when it's in the best interest of the school district and the associations to have these benefits and at a better value, but because it might need board approval, we get in our own way. So we'll see if that happens. But it's a great committee to be on because it represents the entire school district, which is fun. So a lot of good work.
Thank you. Director Wachter.
I don't have a board report tonight.
All right, thank you. Director Way.
All right, thank you. I have one on top of all the other really great updates that folks have already shared. So I had the honor of continuing to be a part of the Oregon School Board Members of Color Caucus and also part of their leadership council. This is just a group that's really near and dear to my heart because we all identify as board members of color. We represent so many different parts of Oregon, from the Portland metro area, obviously North Clackamas, to just very rural parts of our state where the communities look slightly different, but the real need around addressing equity is definitely there. So it's just really a continued honor to be again with school board members who are really trying to make sure that all kids feel safe and heard in their communities. So one of the big items that we're going to continue to work on with this group and also to really, I think, help inform the rest of the OSBA, the Oregon School Boards Association, is really centering student voice. So there's a student voice project that our group started about a year and a half ago, shortly after the pandemic. And then due to the pandemic and just a lot of different factors, the particular project hasn't really quite taken off as much as we'd like to, but we're going to revamp it. And, and there's a go around of like, okay, what are districts doing? And so I always, of course, tout the wonderful work that we're able to do in North Clackamas with our Youth Equity Committee, with, all of the, again, really centering student voice in decision making. So to continue that conversation, the Leadership Council decided that they were going to just send out some surveys to various school districts around, again, how are they engaging with their young people? What are opportunities for leadership development? And so I'm looking at Dr. Williams Rodriguez, but there might be a survey email coming your way. But we really want to try to engage with administration as well as various equity directors at different schools to ask that question. And then I think with that, we want to come up with more of a robust statewide plan of how school boards can continue to engage with students. And then the other exciting thing that I want to bring up is, believe it or not, the OSBA Fall Convention is already coming up. this November, I know a bunch of us went to the summer gathering, and so it's time for another gathering with 600 plus school board members. Our leadership council submitted a workshop, particularly around some of the recent changes in state mandated curriculum. We had one of the chairs of a school board, Dr. Lou Whitebear, who identifies as Native Indigenous woman. She's chair of the Corvallis School District, submitted a workshop proposal. So this workshop proposal is going to cover three major changes to K-12 curriculum based on state legislation coming up that relates to tribal histories, shared histories, ethnic studies, and Holocaust and other genocides. The session will discuss just rollout timelines, what is the school board's role in engaging with curriculum, the importance of board members' understanding of how these three bills will work together, and also just, potential understandings for school districts. So it's a workshop that she's really led and created that we're really proud to support. And so if your board members are interested in attending that workshop, please come to it. And last but not least, our group continues to just grow, really be more diverse and representative of our students here in our state. And so we're also coming up with an orientation video project for anybody to learn more about the group and what we do. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Thank you, directors. I want to start off, thank you for the reminder, Director Bauer, that our previous board director and board chair, Libra Ford, was appointed to the State Board of Education. And Libra is such an amazing voice and amazing advocate for our kids and for students. And now not only have engaged and created this environment in North Clackamas, but now she will actually touch the students in the district across the state of Oregon. So we are incredibly proud of her. Several of us were there, Director Dobson, Director Bauer, and myself, Superintendent James, and and Yvette, our Associate Director of Special Education. We were all down there to watch her be appointed. It's a very short, she gets about 90 seconds to talk about herself, but it was to introduce herself to the committee, but it was well worth the time, and we are so incredibly proud of her. So we want to make sure our community knows that. In case you haven't heard, we're going to have a levy on the ballot. And yeah, you might not have heard that yet. And there was a kickoff, which, I don't think any of these things would happen without the energy, heart, and passion of Director Bauer. We had a great kickoff. I've gone to lots of back to school nights and to meetings just to be able to share the information and how important it is. Ballots drop October 18th, so they'll be hitting your mailbox next week. So keep your eye out for a ballot and get those if you live in North Clackamas School District, and get those in. I also want to mention the benefit committee because it is I have learned so much. It is such a huge undertaking to really take care of our employees, of everybody that works for the district and the staff. And I am just impressed every time we have a meeting as to how in-depth and how much thought really goes into the benefits and how we take care of our employees. So always so impressed with that. I went to, with Director Bauer, went to the Milwaukee City Hall new opening. Milwaukee High School Band played us down the street we walked from the old City Hall to the new City Hall. Cindy Detchen was with us. Tiffany Shireman was with us. I can't remember if there's anyone else. But it was just a great evening, and the building is beautiful. And Millie the Goose was there. So lots of showing there. The OSBA Roadshow, it's always wonderful just to get the pulse from OSBA and find out really what bills we need to be watching for, what they really mean, and what those impacts are. And it's always nice to just connect with other Clackamas County boards. So that was nice as well. I also our previous director, Director Orlando Perez, organized a meeting at the intersection of 172nd and Coyote, just out of some concerns for our families and students as they crossed that road. So we just did that a few days ago, and I appreciated that opportunity. And as Director Dobson had mentioned, we went to the Stewards of Children or Darkness to Light training. I've actually done it before. It's excellent at talking about being an interrupter and really looking for things. And it's such a great opportunity to expand and to really learn how to protect children. And if you have an opportunity or you are interested in learning more, please absolutely reach out to one of the directors, and we will get you in touch with Orlando Perez and make sure that you can have any learn about it if you want and attend a training if you're interested. And I believe that is it for this evening for board reports. And thank you so much. And I want to mention one more thing, actually, that these are all very busy people that are taking, this is all volunteer time. And not only are all of the meetings and the preparation for meetings volunteering of their time, but attending all of these events are continual volunteering of their time. And I just want to thank each one of them for serving with such grace and with passion for our kids and with care for our students in our district. And I want to thank you for all that you do for the meetings, but then all that you're doing outside of the meetings as well. You're much appreciated. All right, now next, we're going to talk about class size report. I welcome Assistant Superintendent of Education, Yvonne Dibley.
Good evening, Chair Benaloga and fellow directors. I am here with Dr. Patricia Ahrens and Dr. Petra Callan, who oversee elementary and secondary programs, respectively, as executive directors. And we are here to bring you this annual report. First, I'd like to start off with this number. We have 17,102 students on October 2nd, 2023. I think this is a wonderful number to celebrate, as Dr. James has shared on our many presentations to the community, that this is a very unique and special number, specifically because this trajectory is a positive trajectory for our district. And while we're not at pre-pandemic numbers, actually, I'm going to take this off. While we are not at pre-pandemic numbers, we are very close, and at least we are going towards the direction of getting back to pre-pandemic numbers. This is not the reality for many of our neighboring districts and districts around the nation. So we're very happy to be able to know that we are welcoming our students back, and our district continues to grow. Additionally, just an additional fact, this is 586 additional students from the end of last year. Each year in the spring, we create staffing ratios that are created based on projected enrollment. This projection is created in the way that we work with our demographers, and we look at those projections in order to maintain our class size ratio. So the way that the allocations were provided, we had 25-1 at elementary, 28-1 at middle, and 32-1 at high school. Obviously, there is some individual adjusting, and we look at family income status, we look at English learners, we look at students that are identified for a disability, and obviously this does not include staffing that we have through additional funding such as the student investment account and other grants. And as you may understand, when we come back in August and we look at those numbers, we need to make sure that we see where the bubbles exist so we can make adjustments. We work with our executive directors, we work with our associate directors, with our principals at each of the schools. And again, we look at the bubbles to understand where kids, where there's a class. So we look at classroom per classroom, and we see where there are additional students that we simply need to either move to overflow or move a class to overflow classroom. And additionally, we shift staff, so that provides the information on the staff that was shifted, as well as the additions to both elementary and secondary.
Thank you. So, and at the elementary level, the average class size is for this school year is 24.2, and with the lowest class in the district at 16 students, and the highest class in the district with 33 students. And these average class size does not include students in specialized programs. We also have 10 blended grade classrooms. Most of these classrooms are in grades 4, 5, and just a few of those are in grades 3 and 4. Nobody is above 35 students per class, and the number of classes at or below 25 for this school year is 163. In your packets, it says that we have 21 students that went through the overflow process, but as of today, that number has increased to 25. So that's the slide show 25, but your packet shows 21. And also this year, we, elementary programs, building administrators work with the virtual online program, and we welcomed students back returning to their resident schools as well. That's for elementary.
All right, and at the middle school, you'll see that in this particular school year, we're back more closer to the pre-pandemic class size numbers. The range in class sizes in those core classes run between 19 and 37, and I'll talk a little bit more about ranges as we get into the high school slide. We are seeing our average at 30.2 in high school, but what is important to know is that this is prior to those FTE additions that you saw in a previous slide, because as of the time that we did these calculations, those schools had not yet hired and changed schedules and done all of that. So there will be adjustment in that level. At the high school before that adjustment, there is a larger range between 14 and 40. And you'll see there, it says often due to singletons. And in high schools, when we talk about singletons, we talk about like one singular class that's offered. Oftentimes these are advanced placement or international baccalaureate or other classes that not all students are taking. And for example, if we're offering an AP class and 38 students want that class, what we really don't want to do is tell a bunch of students, no, sorry, you can't have this class. And we also are not in a position where we could divide that into 2 sections. So that can sometimes explain some of those ranges, as well as on the smaller end as well. In middle school, you don't always have in a grade level team exact numbers of 6th graders versus 7th graders versus 8th graders. So that can help us understand some of those fluctuations as well. Also, I think what's important to know about this year is that CHS and Adrian C. Nelson, both of those schools had quite a bit more enrollment than we anticipated, so that we were projected for. And so we had to readjust once we saw that there were quite a few more students based off of, whatever the, housing happened over in those areas. Okay. All right, New Urban Online, formerly known as VOP.
And you'll see that we generally see a decline in that enrollment, except for in grades 6, 8, and 12, but you're not seeing very large numbers. This is really not surprising to us because, as we've seen in the last couple of years, that students are returning back to their neighborhood schools and fewer students are wanting to access this particular program, though we still believe in supporting it, as there are families that really benefit from New Urban Online. And I'll be talking at a future board meeting a little bit more about why we call it New Urban Online and no longer VOP. But so we'll get into that later on. But there is a lot of flexibility within this particular program because sometimes we have students that are needing to engage in New Urban Online at various times throughout the school year. And these students are supported by teachers in advisory meetings and academic, with pretty strong academic support. So we really value what this program brings to students and families.
And with that, we're here to take any questions.
Whoops. All right, thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Director Bauer?
Thank you for the report. It is something I've been hearing more about too as I've been out in the community too. So thank you for all this information and adding this information and others to the presentation that you give in the community. Let's see, I had some questions as I went along here. So when you don't know how many kids you're going to have. I mean, especially when you get a growth. I mean, this was the biggest growth we've had since COVID, right? And especially at the high school level, was it? And so you have a study and it tells you about how many kids, but then you get there and trying to balance it. Just talk a little bit more about that process that you go through, how you balance it and decide then that you need to move a kid to another school or when you have to add more FTE. For the public to kind of understand that there's so many factors involved. You have to find teachers too, right? And you have to find room at the schools.
Absolutely. Any and all of that can be true, right? Yeah, so it's an allocation based on the enrollment, right? Or based on the projections. And so that is, it's the best guess that we can have, right? So if we have the demographers that have all of the demographic information, they provide us with that information and we're able to see what the numbers currently are. And for us, usually it's about guessing our kindergarten numbers, right? And also guessing the growth that is happening in an area because the kids that are with us will move with us basically from year to year. And that is what's hard. I mean, we always talk about there is no 0.2 kid in a ratio, but it is what's hard between allocation and staffing. And so we have our allocations and we staff based on those allocations. And then when we come back in August, as I mentioned, we start working and we start looking to see, okay, how have they registered? Who's here? And I will say that one of the great jobs that our elementary programs did this year is we went out into the community. This is where we partnered with transportation, we partnered with communications and HR even, because we said, if you need a job, here we go, right? And we were able to reach out to the community and get a lot of our kindergarten registrations done well before the timeline. So nevertheless, there's people that wait until the registration comes around and we start looking at the numbers. We have real-time numbers that come in from our elementary programs and we begin to have that process of where are we seeing bubbles, where are we not seeing the registration? Is there anything that went down? And we literally look at it line by line, classroom by classroom to see what happens. There are conversations that our executive director will have with principals who then have the conversations with teachers. For example, we might say, here's a larger bubble of a cohort. Do you want to keep the cohort together or do you want to blend? And so we have some teacher input in those decision making. And then really the overflow process begins with new to the neighborhood school, because we wouldn't want to do that to an existing cohort student. At the secondary level, the principals work very much in line with our executive directors and our associate directors, and they will start advocating. They'll say, we have 100 more students than what was projected. We need additional FTE. And that process is very unique because it's not like elementary where we might say, well, just blend this classroom together and we'll give you another teacher and there you go. That is very interesting because you have electives, you have core classes, and so it's not just about giving another teacher because it's directly tied to the content area. So that is where Petra and her team work with the principal and they begin to look at the programming. And sometimes it's about, well, if we add this elective because it was very much a popular elective, that will ease, you know, the bulge at these core classes. And sometimes it's, you know, our social sciences are really bubbling. We need to hire a social science teacher. So that's a general.
And I just want to add, it gets really complex because when our principals, when they create a schedule, they create a schedule for the students that are forecasted to their school that they believe they're going to have, and they do their best to balance all of those classes across that particular schedule. So if things look different and you've got over 100 more kids than you thought you were going to have, you can't get FTE to alleviate in all areas that have been scheduled as evenly as they possibly can. So you have to start making choices because you can't hire somebody who's going to teach a section of 10th grade English and a section of 10th grade chemistry and a section of 10th grade algebra.
And just another couple follow-ups. On the elementary, you said the high 33 was in the 4th and 5th. And I know you do focus on keeping kindergarten, 2nd and 3rd lower. But I wanted to ask a question about middle and high. Let's see, do those, well, the core class, okay, so those averages do not include PE and music. It's just core classes.
That's correct, because PE and music at the secondary level will really skew your averages. So we really stuck with sort of regular classroom-based because
Okay.
our PE classes are a little bit bigger and music can be bigger.
Right. And then my only comment is on your slide, when you talk about individual school staffing ratios adjusted to reflect the needs based on the poverty, English learners, number of students, that's consistent with our strategic plan. As Director Wade mentioned earlier, we keep seeing that weaved into our decisions. And so thank you. I get it. That's equity.
Thank you. Does anyone else have a question or a comment? Director Dobson?
Thank you. I love all this data. And also appreciate just the madness of the game theory that you have to work through to do all the forecasting. I'm curious about what happened with Nelson, with those numbers being so much further off than you were anticipating. Can you give any insight into what happened there? And also, do you have demographers scheduled to like redo the growth estimates maybe for the next couple of years for that area?
Well, I know there's a lot of new housing out there. And I see it when I drive to the school, like a ton of new housing. And I know, and I can't speak in particular to our conversations with the demographers, but I know that when they were first projecting, they also keep in mind the what kind of housing is going up and what they sort of guesstimate, I guess. Oops, sorry, God, I shouldn't talk with my hands. That doesn't work well. How many, school-aged kids are potentially going to be in that housing? Because, of course, not everyone who moves into a place is going to have a student is going to go to Nelson High School. So, and in this particular case, I think we're a little bit off. But in terms of conversations with demographers, I don't know if somebody else can answer that.
Sure. I'm happy to speak to that. Each year in October, North Clackamas School District reports our annual enrollment numbers. Those go to our demographers by the middle of October. And then by the middle of December, they produce for us some very preliminary tables for the next 10 years. So they're always looking out 10 years. And you can imagine the first year, 2, 3, give us some pretty good information. Out 10 years is pretty hard, pretty difficult, because we're really taking this year's first graders and considering where will they all be by 11th grade. They do consider everything from every building permit going up. They're in conversations with our municipalities, their planning departments, et cetera. They also do an extrapolation from births. And they look at births in the zip codes and in this area. I have to say that gets pretty mathy wonky in my world, where I kind of follow along with them on that. But what they do is they triangulate that all into some information. They produce low, middle, and high estimations for us at 10 years out. The 10 years we're using for facilities planning. The 1, 2, and 3 years we're using for enrollment planning. I mean, you can see how they're kind of different in there. I do think one of the other important things is when they give us the low, middle, and high, we have historically been staying to the middle the last 5 to 7 years. We may want to start to look at a few pockets looking at the high, though it hasn't held for a number of years. COVID in there is a little bit. So you can see this is all a mathy guessing game, and your idea of game theory was really spot on. Thank you. We are due to receive the full report middle of January again for the next 10 years.
Are there any other questions? Director Kemp?
Yeah, I was just curious on those low, middle, and high. Do they assign a probability to those?
You know, prior to COVID, they would do an error analysis and kind of looking backwards, the error analysis. Through COVID, we were doing a lot of maybe guesstimating a little bit different, but we'll go right back to that. And in this November, we'll look at an error analysis on last year.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other comments or questions? I just have one question, and again, thank you for the presentation, for all the information. I have just one question about the blended classrooms, because we went from 17 to 10. Was that more staffing or was that enrollment?
I would say that it was a little bit of both. Some schools, their enrollment increased in some classes. So that was a conversation, like Dr. Dibley said, it was a conversation between the building administrators and their staff. Do we want to do a blend, or do we want to overflow the students? In some cases, the staff said, we know this cohort of students might need some extra support, so we will be okay with keeping this class a little bit bigger so that other class will be, smaller. In some others, it was, the number exceeded the limit for that class, so it was necessary to do a blend class. So it's a little bit of both, and, it depends on the conversation between principals and their staff. So it's a collaboration. It's in the way that they are making those decisions.
Yeah, because it went down significantly. It went down by 7 blended classrooms.
Yes.
And that's actually quite a bit. So I was curious as to where that's a big adjustment.
Yeah, and then it was also, related to moving some teachers from where the projected numbers were not as high. So we were projecting, just to put a number there, we were projecting 3 or 4 classes to be, new at one school, and the only enrollment was for 3. So that staff was allocated to go to another school where the enrollment was high. So all those things go into consideration.
All right, excellent. Thank you. All right, thank you for the great discussion, and thank you for the report. And next on the agenda is 2023 Summer Learning Report. I welcome again Assistant Superintendent of Education, Yvonne Dibley.
Hello again.
I could not start this report without just sharing immense gratitude for Natalie Whistler, our Director of Community Services. She, along with Dr. Aylin Summers, with Amber Barnes, with Katie Cunningham, they really are my right hand in supporting summer programming. And special to this conversation is that they planned the continuation of our summer program, which our district was able to offer, although to a smaller degree, despite not having state funding, which was instrumental these past years. Natalie Whistler is here to share with you summer programming for 2023.
Thank you. This is always a fun one to get to be here to discuss. It's one of my favorite topics. Right. Here you'll see a vision for summer learning. This information comes from the Oregon Department of Education Summer Learning Best Practice Guide. On the right, you'll see an infographic. I've heard this affectionately referred to as the summer learning peacock. Those colorful circles represent best practices. You'll see those best practices woven into our summer learning programs. Overall, our goal is to provide programs that are equitable, accessible, and foster not only meaningful learning, but joy and connection. This is a short overview of our timeline for summer learning planning. Planning for summer learning is a year-round process, even though all of us that work on summer learning carry other roles in the district. We wrapped up our grant report from our 2022 summer learning grant, the investment from the state that Dr. Dibley referred to in November of 2022. And by January 25th, we were hosting our first planning meeting for 2023. It's a short turnaround time. Last year, planning was exceedingly difficult. There was a lot of uncertainty around that summer learning investment from the state. We heard many different things. We heard a lot of encouragement and reassurance that we may have another investment in summer learning, that there would likely be grant funds available. And then in April, we received our first major update from Oregon Department of Education. And unfortunately, that update encouraged districts to move forward planning without any additional funds. So you can see by March, we were already hiring staff. And fortunately, we had prepared options A, B, and C, depending on funding. And what you'll see is essentially option C, the option that included no additional investment. It involved a lot of careful braiding of funds, using other grant funds that were available that had some funds left remaining, and a lot of creativity from staff. And then June 26, 2023, we had Kids in Buildings for programs. Our high school summer school program was able to offer 463 students credits. Typically, students are referred to this program when they're credit deficient or at risk of being so. We also served 33 students in a senior session intended to give students that final push so they can graduate on time. That number is much smaller than it's been in the past, and Dr. Summers believes that that number is smaller due to the robust summer learning program that was offered in 2022. We were able to catch students up so that they didn't need to participate in that senior session, and they were able to graduate on time. One of my favorite summer learning programs is our high school student work study program. This year we hired 20 amazing high school students, and those students worked 3,370 hours in all of our elementary summer learning programs. Those students were paid for their work, and they were also able to earn credit. They got mentoring, learned job skills, and they really contributed so much to our elementary programs. 3 students that were in our 2022 summer learning cohort were also hired into regular staff summer positions this year. We have students that started this program in 2021 and are undergraduate sophomores now on their way to earning their education degrees. We were able to continue to offer middle school enrichment and courses designed to address unfinished learning by combining some remaining 21st century grant funds and funds intended to address unfinished learning. We were able to weave core academics into high interest activities. So students, for example, took a course on song lyric writing to sharpen their writing skills. We offered elementary Title I summer school to 141 students, representing all 8 Title I elementary schools. These programs are focused on first and second grade literacy. Along with Title I summer school, we were also able to offer some 21st century funded enrichment programs at Lot Whitcomb Elementary, serving 45 students. These programs were focused on literacy and art enrichment. Kindergarten Exploration is a very special program focused on our youngest students. Our incoming kindergartners get an opportunity to get a taste of kindergarten before they start. We were able to offer this at all 18 elementary schools, and we were able to offer online classes in both English and Spanish for families, and we're able to provide information about transitioning to kindergarten. Jen Burkhart shared with us that these programs were incredibly well attended with strong family participation. Summer Art Academy is an NCSD tradition that has carried on for many years. We offer a fee-based summer art program with an artist in residence. This summer, 78 students participated and 28 were able to receive scholarships to participate without charge. We were able to do an expansion of our fee-based elementary care program this summer. We offered the program at 3 sites instead of 2, serving an additional about 140 additional students. This is a full-day fee-based program, and we were able to offer scholarships and some emergency placements to some of our most vulnerable students, including students experiencing houselessness. Our extended school year program offers skill maintenance to our students experiencing disabilities. We served 66 K-12 plus students in extended school year this year. We also served 15 students by providing recovery services that were integrated into other summer learning programs. So for example, special education staff went out to our Title I elementary programs or our care programs and were able to serve students in place at the other programs that they were already participating in. Of students that participated in ESY, 100% of the students that attended the duration of the program made progress towards their IEP goals. We couldn't put together a summer without our community partners. This is a non-exhaustive list of the nonprofits, the local small businesses, and the community agencies that help us put on our summer programs. And that photo there is local community hero and librarian Jana from the Ledding Library. Certainly, our greatest challenge was the lack of reliable and stable state funding targeted for summer programs. It is very hard to pivot from providing a $2.7 million summer program to having no additional investment to be able to provide any sense of predictability in our model. And families really rely on that. When we were able to offer free, robust summer learning programming, families were able to experience that, and it's hard to go back. This summer, we participated in the Student Educational Equity Development Survey offered by Oregon Department of Education. And our middle school students let us know what they thought about our summer learning programs. And I know sometimes in the community, you may hear negative things about middle schools or middle schoolers. But middle school summer learning is one of my favorite places to be. Our kids are amazing. And this summer, we had 380 middle school students that chose to be in our buildings with us. And of those students, 84% reported that this summer they had opportunities to participate in activities that would help them achieve their goals. 70% said the summer program improved their motivation to do well in school. 87% said the program helped them to learn to collaborate with peers. And then my favorite student quote, "You all are cool, keep up the good work." I have a middle schooler. I can't think of higher praise from a middle schooler. So I really appreciate that. And I very much appreciate all of the educators, classified staff, and other folks that spent their summer making summer cool for our students. Okay. Questions?
All right, directors, do we have any comments or questions? Director Dobson.
I also have a middle schooler. Thank you for your service. My question is around participation levels. So did you have to reduce participation level for this past summer because of the lack of secure and stable funding from the state?
Yes, particularly in the area of elementary enrichment. That was a significant reduction. We had to cut a few programs that were offered in summer of 21 and 22. And other programs had to move from a free model to a fee-based model.
Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions or comments? Director Kemp?
I'm just curious, was any of the funding you used in prior years part of any of the COVID funding for schools, and is that maybe why there was a drop in the funding because that money had been exhausted?
I'll start and then. So part of the emergency relief funds, the ESSER funds, there is 20% that is allocated for unfinished learning. And that is where we were able to braid that funding with additional funding. So that money had already been allocated. There was no reduction. The reduction came when we were closed for COVID, that there was a significant investment in ensuring that kids were getting some kind of opportunity to, again, gain skills and get back to school, begin to socialize. And so there was a significant investment. As Natalie mentioned, then our families obviously are saying, this is great, this is wonderful. It now becomes routine, especially when it's given for multiple years in a row. And then as she said, the hard part was waiting until April to finally be told we don't have any money to provide the summer programming, of which we think it's a really good idea to have. So that was what was very difficult.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, does anyone else have a question? Director Bauer?
Thank you, Chair Benalova. It's amazing what you did, hearing that late, and then talking with families too, and trying to do what is best for kids and families. So you're to be so commended for that. I'm into numbers though too. So how many, maybe you can get this to us later, or just a rough estimate, how many numbers of students were you serving the previous summer compared to this summer?
I can get you that number later, but off my memory, I believe it was about 1,000 students that did not receive services this summer.
Well, yeah, and that's a big difference in that funding, again, and it came so late. So what do you want for next year, and what can we do? How can we help you?
Yeah. Last spring, a bill was introduced that would potentially provide stable, consistent funding for summer learning. So that would be the ultimate goal. We have an agile team that's able to do a lot with a little and able to put a lot of heart into planning. But imagine what that team could do with a stable, consistent investment. That's where we could really move the needle for students and families.
Thank you for that.
All right, does anyone else have a question or a comment? Thank you so much. A lot of great information. And again, as so many of the directors have said, the summer programming is so important to bridge that gap, to make kids feel included, to bring excitement to their school year. It's not only about the summer, it's about the school year as well. And I love that you touched on that as well. So thank you so much for your report. And next on the agenda is Contract Award, ESS Substitute Staffing Services. I welcome Executive Director of Human Resources, Michelle Riddell.
Good evening, directors. So I am coming to you tonight to seek your approval to award a contract to ESS Substitute Staffing Services to provide licensed and classified staffing services. So as you've heard tonight and in previous board meetings and presentations, workforce shortages continues to be a challenge for us, and this is true in hiring of our substitutes as well. So we have tried a variety of strategies to really try to increase our fill rate this last year. And currently, our greatest need is filling our paraeducator classified absences. And that really impacts most often our substitute or our special education classrooms. And so really partnering with ESS will provide us with additional dedicated resources and supports to increase our substitute pool with targeted recruitment and hiring efforts. And also this will provide additional benefits to our substitutes that will hopefully help with retention. And some of these would be being paid weekly versus monthly, opportunity to have benefits, and paid professional development. So we think for all of these reasons that this is the best opportunity for us to really improve our fill rates. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
All right, directors, is there any questions or discussion or comments?
Chair, I make a motion to authorize the superintendent to award a contract to ESS West Substitute Staffing Services to provide licensed and classified substitute staffing services to North Clackamas School District.
Is there a second?
Wachter, second.
Is there any discussion? It's been properly moved by Director McVeigh and seconded by Director Wachter. I call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Aye as well. All those opposed, nay. The motion passes with a vote of 7-0. Thank you very much. All right, and we are at the end of the evening, and I like to end with a little thought. And tonight's thought, because I looked at the agenda and I looked at the things we were going to cover, and we are looking back only to then look forward. So I have a quote from Walt Disney this evening. Around here, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. So thank you all for your curiosity and your service. And with that, it is now 8:43 p.m. and this public meeting of the North Clackamas School District Board of Directors is adjourned. Have